Rennie Knopf with ChampionshipBBQ.tv, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Yay! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to jump in on the show this evening, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. If you did get the newsletter, you might have seen that one Kosmo from Kosmo's Q was going to be coming on. However, I bumped him.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I apologized profusely. However, an opportunity arrived that I wanted to dip my toe in the pool, and helping me do some toe dipping is a Barbecue Hall of Famer himself, a Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer. You know him, you love him. Dr. Barbecue Ray Lampe will join me. And we are going to be talking about a barbecue tour. Now, you might be thinking of one style of barbecue tour or another, but I'm here to tell you that I don't think a lot of folks took the same kind of barbecue tour that Ray took recently, and we're going to be talking all about that. It has something to do with the barbecued meat, but maybe it's not the barbecued meat that you would think of. However, we will be starting the particular segment with Ray with a current theme that has been coming up time and time again over the last many weeks of the show, which is brisket and price. Ray, of course, is part of Dr. Barbecue's restaurant down there in the Tampa, St. Pete area. So we'll talk to him about the price of brisket, what they're charging, and where it might stop. We'll see. Ray will be joining us in about 11 minutes from now. And then after Ray, first timer to the show, Bub and Mother's Barbecue Rubs creator John Furman joins us, and we will talk to John about why is he making rubs and what got him into the rub business. Why are his rubs unique? I can tell you they're full of flavor. I think you have been trained as a consumer, we'll talk to him about it, that you need to see really big bottles in order to somehow associate that with really big flavors. That's not necessarily the case. And John's products are certainly a great representation of that. The Down East Denna and the Honey Heat rubs are spectacular. Use it on some chicken yesterday. A combination of both, and it worked out magically. So we'll talk to John in about 30 minutes from now. That'll close the first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour. Little outside of the box, but live fire related. Is it? I don't know. You can be the judge. He was on last week on the clubhouse taking part in the 100% Assurity questions, but he will be making his debut on this show as a confirmed guest. Johnny Maggs from the Pit Life BBQ Podcast will join us. And notwithstanding that, and at the same time, the Barbecue Central Show's official cigar expert, Mr. Jonathan, rejoins the show, mashing it up together. The two of these guys earlier in the month at Two Guys Smoke Shop and or under the banner of the Cigar Authority Podcast went head-to-head in a cooking contest, but not a traditional contest that you might think as it relates to this show, not competition barbecue. However, what they did cook is related to this show because we all love it. Burgers, yeah, bring it. So we'll talk about the event itself, how it came to be, and then in this corner, Mr. J and what he made, why he made that, how he made it. And then in the other corner, Johnny Maggs. We'll learn about his process, what he made, thought process. I'm going to save who won. If you've tuned into the show for the last couple of weeks, I've blurted it out. But if you're just tuning in for the first time, I don't want to ruin it for you. Now, end of the show, not sure. It's a good chance we might go over. If we don't go over and Mr. J is down for it, I might hold him over so we can get a little bit of an update on what's new in the cigar world. A lot of new releases after the big Premium Cigar Association's event a handful of weeks ago. So if you're into the cigar lifestyle like me and my friend Jeff and Drizzy out there in Minnesota, you can look forward to some extra or overtime cigar talk with Mr. J, 35 past the second hour, and that will bring a close to the show. So that's what's on the agenda this evening. Dr. Barbecue, John Furman, first hour, Mr. Jonathan, Johnny Maggs, second hour, with some subsequent cigar talk, possibly. We also might unveil the latest animation of the show featuring me, yes, of course, I'm part of the show, and Mo Cason. Can you think of what might be the case coming up? Can you? I don't know if you can or not, but you might be able to. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, at BBQ Central Show. Also for live video feeds of the show, Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show, and on YouTube/RD Rempe. Audibly, live on Clubhouse as well. So if you'd like to jump over there and just listen and not watch, I certainly understand that. Let me start here this evening with a couple minutes I have left before we get to Dr. Barbecue. I don't know if you've been tracking this or not, if you follow me socially, as I just mentioned, giving you those platforms. There is this incredible Memphis in May evolving story / controversy that is going on right now over the last couple days. Doug Scheiding sent me the initial heads up over the Facebook instant chat that we have, the group of us, the embedded correspondents and myself. And after reading what he wrote, or maybe he took a screenshot of somebody's Facebook post, I immediately reached out to Malcolm Reed, my Memphis in May expert and authority on all things Memphis in May, and asked him, what am I seeing here? Is this correct? In a nutshell, if you are a to-be competing team in Memphis in May this coming year, or if you are a barbecue vendor of some sort, taking place 2023 Memphis in May, how about this $8,000 non-refundable deposit? How does that grab you? No? Not so interested? Not grabbing you in the right way? Yeah, well, you're not the only one, and it's absolutely being talked about right now. Now, I don't know the ins and outs, the particulars. I don't know if there's grandstanding or politicking going on right now. And I am efforting folks directly from Memphis in May to come on and talk about it here on this show. Of course, I will ask Malcolm Reed about it next week when he does his monthly segment. But the company that is overseeing the new park construction said that Memphis in May would have to pay $1.24 million in park restoration fees after the Beale Street Music Fest and Memphis in May Barbecue Festival. That number was up from $325,000 or something like that in previous years. So the guess is they took the $1.24 million, divided it by 160, which is now the maximum number of teams allowed, and came up with a non-refundable $7,800 price tag. Who's affording that? I don't even know the biggest corporation. I'm having enough trouble trying to sell trucks for next year. If you're putting on a barbecue event and you're being told as a vendor or a potential competitor, you're going to have to pony up $7,800 of non-refundable cash. That, as they say, might be a sticking point. We'll keep on that story, of course. But man, that is mind-boggling non-refundable deposit fees, to say the least. Dr. Barbecue is in the green room. Before we get to him, I will talk to you about Sterling Ball and the gang over at Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at BigPapaSmokers.com has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Known for the championship rubs and seasonings, 13 perfectly balanced flavors to transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, why not check out Granny's barbecue sauce? Great all by itself and great tweaked if you just want to use it as a base sauce. They're also selling cookers, and we know this. So you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? Don't know what you want or need or what size? Call them. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, and ask their experts all the questions. Let them help you pick the best cooker that will fit your needs and your budget. BigPapaSmokers.com is the website. Who knows? Sterling Big Papa Ball himself might answer the phone, get on consult with you free of charge if you buy the cook. BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPoppa Smokers.com. Big Papa Smokers, longtime sponsor of the show, which we certainly appreciate. And we'll be back with Ray Lampy, Dr. Barbecue, right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the number 2 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Turkey Smoke, the National Turkey Federation, and by the Illinois Soybean Association. That's right, Turkey Smoke and the Illinois Soybean Association. For more info on both, go to turkeysmoke.org or socially at Turkey Smoke BBQ on Instagram or at Serve Turkey on Facebook and Twitter. The Illinois Soybean Association can be found online, ilsoy.org, or ilsoybean on the Instagram and Twitter, and ilsoy on Facebook. And we thank Beth and the gang out there for the support of the show this evening. My first guest tonight needs no introduction, has appeared on the show in some form or fashion since 2006, an accomplished barbecue cook and author, appears on TV shows, a pitchman, a brand ambassador, Barbecue Hall of Famer, and most importantly, Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer, also one of my favorite guys to talk barbecue with. We race to the hotline and welcome back Dr. Barbecue to the show. Hey, Ray.
Hey, Greg. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Always appreciate the time. Let me start here this evening, Ray, because this has been a question and a debate that has been going on and on through the confines of this show for the last, maybe it's approaching a month now. It first started out with Chuck Blount from the San Antonio Express-News, who's a food writer / sports writer. And offhandedly, one of the topics was the cost of brisket. And he said, man, I remember when it was 22, then it ticked up to 25, and now routinely, whether you are an established barbecue restaurant in Texas or if you're just an upstart, me and Ray moved down to Texas, we want to start a barbecue restaurant, everybody's charging $30+ a pound for brisket. So I was at Mabel's Barbecue last week with some customers entertaining for lunch, $34 a pound for brisket. What is going on at Dr. Barbecue's for price per pound of cooked brisket, and where is this price going to stop? Ray? I told Ray it was $35 a pound, and he passed out.
Get that big stuff out of here.
He couldn't believe it. I'm hoping he sees that maybe somehow we're not connected. Maybe there was a incredible lapse of internet connection. Who knows? We'll see. Is my internet up? It appears to be up. Yes, there's my thing right there. Sure. Well, the Ides of August are upon us, Dan. You couldn't be more correct. Don't even know what to say.
Hey, Greg. I'm back.
There he is. I thought I dropped $30 a pound on brisket and you passed out.
You thought I didn't want to tell you what our price is.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're at 28 or 29 right now. And we probably should be more, but at some point you got to charge what you can get. I don't know how these guys are getting away with $35 a pound. God bless them. We're just afraid to go quite that high with it. So we're just 29 or 28, whatever it is. We're lucky. We sell a lot of cocktails. We sell a lot of desserts, a lot of apps and stuff. So we can get away with that. Because Roger, the guy that actually owns the restaurant, always talks about contribution. So if our 4 times should be $32, well, that means we're still, in theory, we're making $16 a pound or so. And so we can live with 12, something like that. But yeah, I get it, man. The good news is people are still buying it pretty much. Yeah. And we years ago, we used to talk about a friend named Nick Nicholas. I don't know if you ever met Nick, but he always used to tell us, don't think of barbecue as low budget food. Think of it as higher end, and let's get serious about it. And we shouldn't think about it as cheap. So $35 a pound, hey, that sounds good to me.
The business side of me says you're charging $35 a pound, not necessarily because you can get away with it, but because the cost to buy it as the purveyor or as the person, the restaurant, it's just continuing to rise. So your price is going to rise accordingly. Do you think that plays the biggest part in this, or are we at a point now where people are just trying to see what they can get before the consumer comes in and says, well, instead of the brisket at $35 a pound, because now I can take that and buy a Wagyu steak for $35 a pound. I'll do it that way. Instead, I'll get the ribs or the turkey.
Well, I hope people aren't just raising the prices to see what they can get away with. But yeah, Arthur Bryant's even came out and said that, did a big press release saying, don't order the brisket. If everybody would just not eat brisket for a couple of days, the supply would replenish and we could all get back to some normalcy. So, pricing it up so high just with the hoping to inspire people to order other things doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. Because a lot of restaurants, especially those Texas restaurants where you wait in line, I can't imagine what percentage of their actual sales are just flat pounds of brisket. So you've got to get the money out of it then. Like I said, we sell drinks and dessert and stuff, and so we can kind of make up for it. But a lot of those places, boy, it's probably 3/4 of their sales.
Dr. Barbecue joining us here on the show. drbbq.com is his website. So as we referenced Texas, a lot of folks love to go on these barbecue tours, and they'll go to the top 50 or the top 10, depending on how many days off and how big of their bellies are, and get what they can. And they do it in Texas. They'll do Kansas City. They'll do in Memphis. However, have you ever been on a barbecue turkey tour? Because I don't think a lot of people have done that particular venture.
I really haven't. I do eat a lot of turkey, so when I go to a barbecue restaurant, I'll almost always get it, and that goes way beyond before I worked for them. That was the charm of the deal for me because I am a turkey fanatic. I had it for lunch today at a diner just because I like it. But no, I've never done it specifically for turkey till now. We, thanks to turkeysmoke.org and the Illinois Soybean Association, we had a budget to do a turkey barbecue tour of Illinois, and it was really cool because I've never really done a tour of Illinois either, which is so funny because that's where I grew up and spent a lot of my life. But I'll start with Beastcraft right outside of St. Louis. If you haven't been there, it's a really cool place. Michael Oye from Certified Angus Beef been telling me about this place for years, and I finally got there. David Sandusky is the chef, and he's a passionate barbecue cook and a chef, and he went on and on about how to properly make a melt, that you can't make a melt properly by just putting the fat on the bread and the cheese, and it can't be on one side. But he made this turkey melt with avocado and bacon jam, and I mean it was maybe the best turkey sandwich I've ever eaten in my life. And of course I had a pork steak while I was there too, being in St. Louis. So if you're ever anywhere around there, man, look up Beastcraft. It was well worth the trip. But the one I really want to talk about is the next stop on our tour. We slid over to Murfreesboro to 17th Street Barbecue. I have never been to 17th Street before. Mike is an old friend of mine. I lived in Chicago for many years. I hung around in Carbondale from time to time. I just never made it to 17th Street. And it was really sad, frankly, to me to go there and without Mike, frankly. I like Amy, and Amy was a great host. She's got a new restaurant, too, Faye, right there next to 17th Street that's not barbecue, although they do have a good smoked turkey sandwich on the menu at Faye as well. But it was such a treat to go and get the tour. If you've never been there, you should go. And anybody that's around there, you got to make plans with Amy because she's got to walk you through like the warehouse and where all the cool stuff was. And that iconic picture of Mike with all those trophies. Mm-hmm. Well, we stood there next to all those trophies. They're still right there. And she said it's like a third of the amount of trophies they actually had. And they're in a warehouse with a bunch of Mike's other stuff. It's a real treat to go there. So, or go to one of her classes because that's where they host the classes. And of course the restaurant's there. And she said, Ray, that's the seat right there where Mike would sit every night and have a couple beers and talk to his friends and for how many years. So it was really a treat to go there and see that. Some of the pictures on the wall were amazing. The first ever New York Big Apple block party. I sent it to Chris Lilly because Chris was young. They were all young, but just seeing how long ago that was. And my other favorite picture that's hanging on the wall there, don't miss it. Mike Mills talking to John Willingham, like slapping each other on the back and having a laugh, and talk about some legends. I'm not sure a lot of our younger barbecue fanatics would even know who John Willingham is. They know who Mike is, but John's the only guy to this day that ever won Memphis in May and the American Royal in the same year. Big Bob Gibson's almost did it, but so that was such a treat, man. And then we slid up towards Chicago, and that was fun too. We went to a place called Q Barbecue in LaGrange. It seems like a lot of places seem to have that similar name, and it was okay, but it was fun for me because it was an old neighborhood where I used to hang out. I mean, literally a hardware store right next door that I used to go to. So it was really kind of fun to me to go do that one. And then we went to another one of my favorites, which is Green Street Smoked Meats in Chicago.
I've been there.
Yeah, if you haven't and you're anywhere near Chicago, go there because it's a big city place in really in a fancy neighborhood. It's not your typical barbecue restaurant, but man, they get down with the serious barbecue, and it's in a great old Chicago warehouse. We asked them because truly, if you come to my restaurant, hopefully you will feel a similar vibe because we wanted to. Ours got a little fancier than theirs did after going back and looking at it a few years later, but we were so impressed with that place. We bought the exact smoker and put it right by the line, just like they have it. And so always a treat to go see those guys. And the place is 5 years later, it's as good as ever. And Then we went to Sweet Baby Ray's. There's still a Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant out in Wooddale, Illinois, where Deuce is holding court. And now they've got a big catering business right next door that is Sweet Baby Ray's, and I forget the name of it. It's more of a fancy catering name. And that's the real focus of what they're doing. But right next door is a Sweet Baby Ray's branded barbecue restaurant. The family held the rights to have restaurants when they sold the barbecue sauce, and they're still operating it. So that was pretty cool too. And Deuce was cooking these giant bone-in turkey breasts, where most of the places we went, they were cooking a boneless turkey breast and then trying to do something fun with it. And Deuce is cooking these big bone-in ones, and he said he does it because, you know, the typical mentality of cooking on the bone and applies to turkey as well. And it was great. And, you know, Deuce he's so polished now. He used to just be that young guy hanging around. He's smooth now. He's got it going on. So it was a treat hanging with him. And then last but not least, we got to go to the Windy City Smokeout, which is the big barbecue festival in Chicago. For me, it's right across the street from the United Center, where, you know, there's the Bobby Hull statue and the Michael Jordan statue. And, you know, I mean, for me, that's hallowed ground. And it just didn't used to be a very good neighborhood where you'd want to have a festival. And to see that whole neighborhood regentrified and having a festival there was really a treat. And so we ran into, they had 3 people that were cooking turkey as part of their offerings there. One was Leslie from U Bonds, always a treat. Leslie's cooking these giant, did you ever see her do those giant smoked turkey wings?
Yep.
So that's what she was doing. She smokes these giant wings, a whole 3-piece wing, and then takes a torch to them. Leslie's a little, 5-foot tall little redneck girl with a gigantic blowtorch torching the wings. I mean, it's a showstopper for sure. And then the other guy that was cooking turkey that I never saw, but he was there. It was Sam Jones.
Mr. J, leave. Oh no. See? Ray got bumped. Damn it!
Get that big stuff out of here.
Let me write Sam Jones down. That way Ray can pick up from Sam Jones before we talk about the American Royal. Jeepers creepers. Sorry, Ray.
Keep freezing up. I don't know what to do.
No, there was something else that happened there. I apologize. Logistically, it ends up being my fault. But nevertheless, Sam Jones is cooking turkey. The guy that's known for whole hog, and potentially some confrontation with his namesakes for whole hog and how he does it and how they do it. He's cooking turkey.
I'm telling you, turkey's hot, Greg. Even Sam Jones is sliding over. I heard. Now, I didn't see Sam, so I can't verify this rumor, but I think he's going to quit cooking hogs and just be a turkey man from now on.
What?
I might have made that up, but
maybe. Wow,
that's what he gets for not being there. So I couldn't really ask him. So,
So it sounds like you have a great barbecue tour. Again, help funded by. So how does soybean and turkey run in together? Why is that a match made in heaven?
Well, Turkey Smoke, the National Turkey Federation, Turkey Smoke, their whole deal is they're a lobbying group, and they got a grant from the Illinois Soybean Association. But it makes sense because if we sell more turkeys, they eat more soybeans. So that's the tie-in, and we're I'm just happy to be along for the ride on all this. Luckily, the girls all know how to make all that stuff work together. But we hung out with some of the Illinois Soybean Association folks, and they were real nice. And they actually came to the Windy City Smokeout, and they were getting all excited about some of the country bands. I didn't really know who them people were, but it looked like a good time to me.
Ray, you still go to the American Royal?
Yeah, I'm going this year. Turkey Smoke will be there again as well too.
They're doing a contest.
Yeah, you know how they do them around the country. At the Royal, there's 280 teams signed up, which is really cool. It'd be the biggest one ever.
Wow.
But I will be there. There's been a couple of changes at the top, but I believe I will be also hosting the Barbecue Hall of Fame inductions like I have for the last few years. So, and the American Royal, for me, that's just where it all started for me. That's where I really cut my teeth and learned how to do all this the right way. So, Memphis in May for a lot of guys it is, but for me, it's the Royal. So I'll go every chance I get. And I'm going to go to the Jack this year. So if anybody's going to be at the Jack, find me and we'll have a cocktail.
Is that turkey event at the American Royal just you get like how does it work? They give you a whole turkey or they give you a side of turkey or what?
Last year was whole turkeys. I'm not exactly sure. They work with a different brand every time, and I don't exactly know who it is for the Royal this year. It'll either be a boneless turkey breast or a whole turkey. The whole turkeys are fun because it gives the guys the opportunity to use some dark meat and some different parts and stuff. It's been fun though. So the turkey smoke allows, even in the KCBS events, they allow them to enhance, so you can make sliders or tacos or something like that, and it's really been kind of fun. Guys make pies. The shed at Memphis in May made a muffalata, a turkey muffalata that was so cool and just beautiful and really good. It was and it won. So it's really been fun to see. And at the Royal out of 280, there's guys that still turn in regular old sliced turkey, and that's acceptable. But we've seen some really fun stuff, and that's been the real the thing that has made me happy, because I was just afraid it would just be we would somehow find what the standard is immediately, and that would be the end of it, like everything else. And it hasn't been. The creativity's been good. The one thing that I have noticed that's become real popular is the Blues Hog Raspberry Chipotle. Seems to be the sauce of choice for the turkey.
Yeah, that makes sense. Usually some kind of fruit, cranberries or whatever is going along with turkey for Thanksgiving. So, not necessarily direct match, but probably in the same family there. So I can see where that would work. I didn't anticipate this to be a turkey segment per se, Ray, but since you are the given turkey expert, turkey spokesperson there for Turkey Smoke, one or two of the biggest tips to cook a great turkey, because to me, it's something that I always say every year, I'm going to eat more of it during the course of the year, not just for Thanksgiving. And then Thanksgiving shows up again, and I'm like, damn it, I didn't do it again. So, and then people get nervous, and they don't want to screw it up because now it's like the whole star of the dinner for Thanksgiving. So what are the best tips for cooking a good turkey?
Well, use a thermometer. I mean, it's all about getting it done just right. I don't brine my turkeys usually, because you buy those frozen turkeys from, most of them are what I would call pre-brined anyway,
Yep.
So they kind of don't need it. You just got to not overcook them. My personal tip is you take a gallon bag of ice. I learned this from Mad Max, the old big green egg guy. And you take your turkey out and get it all ready to roll, and then let it sit on the counter for an hour before you put it on the smoker, and put a ice pack bag on top. So the bottom, the thighs and all that stuff will kind of warm up a little bit. Not going to be too much in an hour, but the top will get really cold, because that's where the problem always occurs. The breast is done, and the bottom, the thighs and the back and stuff are not. And then you end up overcooking the breast. So if you do that, I find that it really helps a lot. Doesn't seem like it would make that big of a difference, but it does. But for your holiday season, Greg, you need to check out turkeysmoke.org, because I've been doing recipes for 3 or 4 years now, along with some other people, and they're really getting a nice cachet of recipes for the smoker, different kind of stuff. I just did a turkey curry, a red Thai curry with turkey in it. And there's just all kinds of fun stuff there, and it'll inspire you. Instead of just cooking Thanksgiving dinner in July, cook something interesting.
Ray Lampe joining us here on the show, breaking it down as he always does, drbbq.com, his website. He will be at the American Royal, which is his Shangri-La of competition. So if you're going to be down there, search him out. He said he'll have a beer with you. He said it right here, so you can hold him to task, throw down your challenge coin, and he will accept it. Ray, always appreciate the time. Thanks for the turkey talk, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Take care, Greg. Good to see you.
There he is, Ray Lampe, right there. drbbq.com, turkeysmoke.org is the place to go if you want those turkey recipes. As Ray said, he's been putting recipes up for the last 3 years or so, and there's quite the haul of turkey recipes there now. So get over there and start eating turkey like I say I'm going to do every year through the year. 2023 is really going to be it. Maybe I'll start. It won't be this weekend because I'll be in Cedarville for volleyball. Maybe that following weekend. We'll have Hartsville Hardware, do a turkey. Why not? All right, John Furman is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. I'll talk to you quickly about Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they are fuel efficient. We love that you can get low and slow temps. We love that you can get really high heat temps for grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire, cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grills and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Cooking over 60 different ways. If your imagination can think it, you can do it. Also, they have the accessories to complete the Primo Grill experience. Do they have a pizza oven? Yes. Do they have a rotisserie grill? Yes. Also, the half pans, the drip pans, the rib racks, more accessories coming out each day. Make sure you're following them on social media and at their website, primogrill.com. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities in multiple sizes? Yes and yes. Visit primogrill.com to find a dealer near you, only sold through dealers, primogrill.com. And you can get outfitted with the one that is best fitting your needs, size-wise. Get the oval. They do offer a round one, but forget about that. Get the oval. primogrill.com. We're back with John Furman and Bub and Mothers. Or Bub and Mothers. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back, and we thank Ray Lampe for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookandpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookandpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also see what other options they have to add a little smoky goodness to whatever protein or vegetable or fruit that you're cooking. Doesn't matter. Cookandpellets.com. My next guest, the newest sponsor of the show, he is looking to become a juggernaut in the rub and seasoning portion of the industry. Currently has two options to pick from, which actually work well. Would use together, but just as good on their own. Honey Heat and Down East Dinner. He's also helping veterans that are down on their luck as well. Let's learn all about it, won't we? We race to the hotline and welcome in first-timer to the show, creator of Bub and Mother's Barbecue Rubs, John Furman. Hey, John.
Greg, how are you?
I am absolutely fabulous, John. Appreciate you making time for the show here this evening. And since it's your first time, a lot of folks that are regulars to the show know what we're going to do, a little background and, you know, the genesis of how this whole thing started. So before we get into the rubs specifically, little background on you professionally, where you live, all that fun stuff, and then we'll build into the barbecue from there.
Sure. Well, the long story is I was born right here in Maine. My dad was in the Navy up here. And when he was discharged, we moved to New Jersey, which was where I was raised. Career-wise, I spent 40 years in the auto industry in New Jersey, New Hampshire, and then 5 years in North Carolina before I finally got to come back here to Maine, and was looking for a way to leave the corporate world. And what better thing to do than start a barbecue company on the coast of Maine in a lobster village?
When you say auto industry, unless it's secretive and or top secret, what were you doing?
I started in dealerships. I started in sales, worked my way up to management. And then a lot of the corporate tie-ins that we had engaged me over the years to go back into dealerships and train on their products or their process. So, and finance companies as well.
John Furman joining us here on the show from Bub and Mothers, the website bubandmothers.com. That's BUBNMUTHAS.com. barbecue.com. So you're retired from the auto business pretty much?
Yeah,
then? Okay.
I started Bub and Mother's in 2018 part-time, while I was thinking about winding down. In 2020, midst of the pandemic, I said, you know what, this is it. I'm making the move, and walked away from corporate world and into the mystery of barbecue.
So in 2018, there's a plethora of barbecue rubs that are out there on the market. It's not like it was 15 years ago where maybe there was a small portion of a grocery store that was dedicated to that, or you had to go to a specialty grill and hearth store to find some pretty decent barbecue rubs. But now in 2018, as you're getting going, I mean, there's a host to choose from. So what did you think was missing from the market, or did you have both of these rubs already in your mind? Were you already playing around with these in some form or fashion?
Not the way they ended up. What happened was, while I was living in North Carolina, it's like there was more barbecue there. So, you get used to eating barbecue, and when you find places that you like, for me, even when I was in corporate life, I would be like, can I meet the cook? Can I meet the chef? I just want to talk to them. And, a lot of places that I liked, so I said, okay. They did. And then I got really lucky, and some of them started to show me different ways. And for some reason, I kind of got the hang of it palate wise, and I knew what things tasted like. So when I moved back to Maine, I was kind of thinking like, okay, what am I going to do kind of on the side? Because I'm done. 40 years is long enough to do one thing. And, when you up here, I literally live in a lobster village. The majority of people here work the boats. Every day, fresh lobster come in, and they're all deaf. I mean, the boats have no muffler system at all. The engines are so loud; they're all screaming at each other in the diner, and they're sitting next to each other talking. And having been literally all over the country, you start to pick up on the idiosyncrasies of being in Maine or being in Georgia, or there are certain expressions, and one is you get to be like the senior lobster guy. And I don't know why
The most deaf person.
Yeah, the most deaf, right? Everybody just goes, "Hey, bub," and I said, "Well, that's neat," but also the older couples, the traditional Mainers, who wear flannel 365 days a year. The husbands address their wives often as mother. And I'm just sitting here going, bub and mother, bub and mother, bub. Now I got to figure out what it is. And the short side was, I was like, I always found that the best way to market something is to make people go, what? Why would you do that? It must be good, or you're really dumb. So I came up with Bub and Mother's, and I went down to the local grocery store, picked up a bunch of spices, threw them all together the way I had learned. And a good friend of mine is a trained chef, Johnson and Wales graduate. So I said, look, you try them. And so he tried them, and he was like, hey, these are great. However, other than the name, what's Maine about them? And I was like, I don't know. So, you start to think, okay, how can I make these more Maine? And so now you're Googling Maine. Even though I live here, it's like, okay, I don't know what I can put in this to make it more Maine. And what happened was, there's a company up here called Ray's Mustard. Ray is a gourmet level mustard. It's like the oldest mustard company in America. And they're literally 2 hours north of me. They're right on the Canadian border. Up the coast. I mean, Ray family. They're like the 5th generation in typical New Jersey fashion, I go, look, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I'm thinking about starting a barbecue dry rub company. One of the ingredients I need is ground mustard. And literally, Greg, on a handshake, we've been using their mustard exclusively, and they won't
Wow.
grind for anybody else, just on a handshake. We have no contracts, nothing. I call them up, I'm picking up mustard, and we do that. So that was ingredient number one, but it didn't really change the flavor profile. So now I'm really curious, and I start fiddling around, and I realized that, one of the other things we're known for up here is maple syrup. And one of the big producers supplies me with maple syrup crystals. So instead of your usual brown sugar or your turbinado, we substituted it with Maine maple crystals. And then wild blueberry powder. And everybody's like, what? I said, wild blueberry powder. That became the Down East Dinner Dust. And we added coffee to it. So we went for an entire year with just one flavor, Down East Dinner Dust. And the bottles, I was buying the bottles 50 at a time, literally paying exorbitant amounts for the spices I was using because I was literally hand mixing them. The labels, I got the Avery label thing, was running it through my own little amateur color printer, sticking them on the, we had no, that was our ingredients. So after the first year, we had 8 stores were carrying us, and
you're making them all at home?
Yeah.
Isn't that illegal?
Oh, yeah. No, I had it. Well, no, I had to have the state come in.
Oh, okay. So you were like commercial kitchen certified.
Make
okay.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
All right.
So, it cost me a beer, but anyway, we got the license. And then, people started saying, geez, this is pretty good. Do you have anything that's got a little heat to it? And I of course, when you're in sales your whole life, you go, you know what? That's exactly what we're working on right now. And we should be releasing that any day.
Right. Give me an order.
And I would, yeah. So, but pride, ego, whatever you want to call it. I didn't just want to throw Chipotle in and call it a day. So I started taking stuff out and putting it back in and, experimenting. And we finally realized if we take the coffee out and replace it with Chipotle and the honey crystals replace the maple, it was a pretty good combo. And, you get that sweetness. And what I like about Chipotle, number one, it's already smoky. And number two, it's late to the game. In other words, and I've had people taste it going, oh, there it is.
Yep.
And they get the heat. And, that was really important to me because I've never been, and I know that, one of those hot segments out there is, how hot can you make it? Oh, we've got ghost peppers. We've got nuclear waste. We've got, whatever else they put in there. And to me, it was like, look, that may be great for a lot of companies. I've got nothing against it, but I want everybody that buys my rub to know what they're eating rather than, hey, that's really spicy. Great. I don't mind them going, hey, there's a little bit of heat there, but boy, this is a good pulled pork or this is a good steak, so that they had that flavor. And for me personally, I started to almost overcompensate. So when I was cooking for people, I would cook with the dinner dust for my bigger meats, my shoulders and brisket and stuff. Then I would use the honey and heat on the side, to make a coleslaw, to make an aioli, to make, and say, look, enjoy your meat. We're going to give you a little bit of spice over here. And what we did, not by design, but one of those kind of like a Post-it note discovery, is we found that we use a lot less salt than our competition.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't sit there and go, you know what, let's be a healthy, I mean, it's barbecue for crying out loud. How healthy can we be? So it turned out that way. And that gives us 2 advantages. One, we're mostly spice. Okay. And what that means, especially when you're using the honey and heat, if you say to me, that's pretty good, but have you got anything hotter? Just put more honey and heat on. You're never going to oversalt your food. You're just going to add more chipotle to it. All right. So everybody at the table can have their whatever you're cooking to taste.
John Furman joining us here on the show. So the rubs are great. I would encourage everybody to go out, buy both bottles, and try them immediately, bubandmothers.com. But the other side of this, we got a couple minutes left. It's not just selling rubs, marketing rubs, becoming this great rub tycoon. You're also somebody that's looking to give back, especially to veterans. You were in the Navy for 4 years. You had mentioned your dad was also in the Navy. So what are you looking to do with helping veterans locally, and how are you looking to build on that?
Yeah, again, I've throughout my career, I've always been aligned with companies that have a mission to give back. And I found that without exception, those companies were also very successful and they were better to their people. So it's an overall thing. So I figured, you know what? If I can start small, like right from the beginning, I'm gonna work with some local charities. It becomes easier as you grow to continue that relationship, or, you know, our overall goal, which is to get bigger and start working with some of the national organizations out there. So currently, up here in Maine, there's a group called the Maine Veteran Project, and you know, we don't have enough time to tell you all the things that they've done. They just amaze me. And, you know, unfortunately, at my age, I can't be climbing ladders with these guys and slinging shing or all that other stuff. I don't have the time or the talent or the knees anymore. So and we're focused right now. We're donating a portion of everything we sell. And on Veterans Day, our goal is to hand them a check for $2,500.
Nice.
So it's a short run. You know, it's not that those big numbers you hear from the national companies, but, you know, I think that if we can pull that off this year, we can hit it by a factor of 10 next year.
John Furman joining us here on the show. John is the creator, founder of Bub and Mothers. The website, of course, bubandmothers.com. Again, I would recommend that you go ahead and buy these bottles, try them out. And so barbecue rubs, always good on barbecue stuff, but as we've all come to know, you know, throw a little bit here, throw a little bit there on stuff that's not barbecue related, and you might find you actually like it on this, that, and the other thing that has nothing to do with barbecue. So, John, really appreciate the time tonight to look back on how this whole thing got started, what you're doing with the vets, which I certainly appreciate, and continued success. We look forward to having you on again.
I would love to do that. Thanks very much, Greg. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Yes, of course. My Bub and Mother shirt, which I have two of. I should have took a picture of the back so you can see the almost offensive back of these shirts. You can use your imagination, I'm sure. Again, the website, BUB, the letter N, MUTHAS, bubandmothers.com. If you want to order up a bottle of the Honey Heat and the Downey's Dinner, I think you will be pretty happy with that purchase. So you're wondering what happened during the Ray Lampe interview. Well, I shared, so my first hour guests have link number 1, link number 2, and then because I knew I was going to have some time to turn it back around and I wanted to use a different setup, I wanted to use this setup for the guys in the second hour. I shared the same links. So one of those guys, who was Mr. J, decided to pop in to make sure that he had all the stuff set up, and he cut Ray out. That's what happened, all right? Heaven forbid we make mistakes anymore, and that's what we get. But, oh my. We live and learn. Before we close up shop here in the first hour, I'll talk to you about Green Mountain Grill, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Choice line and a prime line. Choice line, save you some money? Yes. Good sized cooker, you know it. Accommodate the pizza oven insert? Oh, yes. Who doesn't love the pizza oven insert in your Green Mountain Grill? Wi-Fi? No. Internal meat probes? No. How about app control? No. You want that? Prime lines for you, my friend. Peak and ledge in size. Also accommodate the pizza oven insert if you want to do that. I highly recommend it. But the Prime line gets you a little bit more of a robust build on the chassis, lights inside on the main cooking chamber. 2 internal meat probes now. Also has Wi-Fi. You can download the Green Mountain Grill app and you can turn it on. You can control the temperature. You can make custom cook cycles. You can do everything. It will not flip the meat over for you. But maybe Jason and the gang are working on that. I doubt it. But otherwise, you can control everything from the comfort of your chaise lounge if you want. Then just go outside when it's done, pull it off, put it into hold mode, go to the grocery store, whatever. Certainly up to you. Green Mountain Grills, much like the Primo, only sold through dealers. So find a dealer near you, greenmountaingrill.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. And you can find a dealer near you. You visit the dealer, you get educated, you find the one that you think will best fit your needs. Then you can just take it home, probably be assembled since you're buying it from the dealer, and away you go. You'll have success, no buyer's remorse, all wins. If you want to add some more accessories that maybe the dealer didn't have, go to greenmountaingrills.com and buy them up there. greenmountaingrills.com, one of the longest-running sponsors right here on this show, which we certainly appreciate. We'll be back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the number 2 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
And we thank John Furman from Bub and Mother's for joining us last segment. Great story and great products. This segment brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring. Or connect via the red, white, and blue hoo-hoo tooths. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, your Unlock Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Good folks over at Fireboard. Don't forget, it's predictive now, too. Make sure you update your app so you can take advantage of all that great stuff that Ted Conrad and the gang are rolling out over there in Kansas City as it relates to the Fireboard. Or if you're just joining in, you've missed the first hour, don't worry about that. We are recording, so you'll get the first hour in podcast a little bit later this evening or earlier tomorrow morning, I would say. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast feed. Don't you dare jump up here, you stupid cat. If you don't really think I'm talking to a cat, you can't see it, but I'm really talking to a cat. Beat it, dummy. Also, make sure that you are... No, get away. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast feed because every Friday we do a best of, which I'm going to tell you about here in a few moments. Also, Ray Lampy, Dr. Barbecue, joined us in the first interview segment, so if you want to find out more about him, if you didn't know, drbbq.com. And then, of course, the Turkey Federation was sponsoring that segment. Turkeysmoke.com is the website for that. All right, we are pointing to the second hour where we will have the likes of the official Barbecue Central Show cigar expert, Mr. Jonathan, and we will mash together a barbecue superstar in his own right, Johnny Maggs, the host of Pit Life BBQ. The crazy, whack, funny thing about this whole mashup of these two is they're both within relative space of each other. Perhaps some days are right above or below each other. And earlier this month, they were right next to each other going head-to-head in that burger contest. So we'll talk about that with them, and then maybe we hold Mr. Jonathan over at the end of the show to talk a little more intricate cigar talk. We'll see how it goes. I also have an animation I want to play. Maybe that waits till next week. We'll see how it goes. Once again, we're pointing to the second hour. Refresh libations. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network.
Hi, this is Austin Parsons, Pitmaster with Smoky Mountain Q in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
So listen, Lavernius, shake the face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Welcome aboard to the second hour. This is the Barbecue Central Show. We talk about barbecue and grilling related items that are only of the highest importance and order here in the industry. Doing it live from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern.
Do it live.
Recording in case you can't make it for recording in case you can't make it live for podcast. Hour number 1 is released early in the morning tomorrow. Hour number 2 on Thursday. And I'll tell you about Friday here in just one moment. The show originating from where?
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show this evening, as I had mentioned on the way out of the first hour, Mr. Jonathan, the co-host over at Cigar Authority Podcast, and Johnny Maggs from the Pit Life BBQ Podcast will both be joining me for a group segment. And we're going to be talking about the big burger battle that took place over at the Cigar Authority Podcast Confines / Two Guys Smoke Shop out there in New Hampshire. It's going to be a fun recap and certainly looking forward to that. Don't forget you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snapper Snaps / BBQ Central Show over on Facebook and Twitch for a live video feed. Also one over on YouTube / RD Rempe. And we are audibly available on Clubhouse as well. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 244, taking you back to August 30th, 2011, and this week, featuring me. Let me ask you a question. Specifically, the male listeners in the audience. Have you ever been a member of the YMCA and gone to work out there in the early morning hours? If you have, then you'll be able to relate to the Best Moments show that will hit the podcast feed this coming Friday. If you have never been to the YMCA in the early morning hours, then you have been considering membership. My friends, this is mandatory listening before you pull the trigger. If you're on the fence right now, if you live by a Y, or you're only down the street from the Y, or your wife says we have to join the Y, you have to listen, say, honey, lover, sweet lips, hold your horses. We can't do anything. No decision making until afternoon on Friday so I can make sure I listen to the upcoming best moments of the Barbecue Central show because there is life-changing information that will be transpiring. If you missed it live back in 2011, and I think everybody missed it then, you will be lucky to hear this one more time, especially if you're on the fence, because I would hate for you to not have the heads up on the shenanigans that are going on in the men's locker room at your local Y, especially since I have lived it no less than 2 separate times in my life. And what you will hear this coming Friday, you will find both shocking and potentially hilarious. If you remember this bit from 12 years ago, thank you for being a longtime fan. But for those looking to sign up for the YMCA, make sure you check this out before you sign on the line which is dotted. Don't forget, if you want to hear a past guest or a segment that might be lost in the archives of the show, reach out to my pal and Michigan embedded correspondent John Solberg and let him know what you would like to hear. His email is jon@thebbqcentralshow.com. Once again, that's Jon, John, at thebbqcentralshow.com. Let him know what you'd like to hear, and he'll do his best to meet your expectation as far as best of shows are concerned. Upcoming shows in September include visits from Malcolm Reed, Sam the Cooking Guy, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. We'll once again be visited by Robert Moss. Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly will be stopping in for his quarterly visit. Barbecue Hall of Famer and icon Stephen Reichland will make his return to the show. Of course, bristly barbecue journalist Derek Riches is slated to join us along with the embedded correspondents and much more. I have a number of lines out just trying to confirm dates with a lot of first-time guests that'll be showing up in September as well, so we're looking forward to that. Last week I showed you a video of a fireworks accident gone horribly wrong, and I'm not going to show that again. I was going to show the companion piece to that, but instead, since I did announce it, I will be unveiling right now to you the latest Barbecue Central show animation. It's a dandy. Remember this sound? Anybody remember who that might be? In case you can't place it, I'll do it again. One and only barbecue celebrity Big Mo Kason. Last time he was on the show, which was a year ago, February. By the way, when you look at February in back-to-back years, Mo Kason. The following year, Jeremy Andrus, two of the biggest names in the industry. Mo Kason was enjoying a Yeti tumbler of libation, probably bourbon or some type of whiskey. He's into the brown water. And it had a lot of ice in it. He was chewing a lot of ice during that segment. His microphone picked it up. I have it. You're hearing it. Well, then I found my buddy Damien from Doodles and Things. Found out he was an incredible animator. And we've been animating all sorts of nonsense. Of course, the first one was the Meathead, Pineapple is the best thing off the grill animation, which came to rave reviews. Handful of weeks ago was the Jeremy Andrus interview where he was really buff, working out, as we were talking about why Traeger didn't have a podcast. And this week, we unveil the Mo Kason Ice Chomp animation. Without further ado, for your viewing pleasure, here it is. So we race to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Mo Kason. Hey, Mo.
What's up, man?
Oh, do you really want to get into the restaurant business? Is there a difference, for you to take this trip down to Florida and cook your food, as you're saying, everybody's like, is there a difference, though, in opening it up to a restaurant? You don't have a restaurant open yet. You talk about getting into the restaurant. And then you do give your opinion on the quality of the food in both. Jethro's, you said, was garbage. Smokey D's, you said, didn't have any soul. Looking back at it, would you have rather have been in business for some amount of time, like in the restaurant business for some amount of time before you levy those charges, or completely irrelevant, doesn't matter? Mo Kason breaking it all down right here, and you can find him at mokasonbbq.com. See where he's available for sale, retail-wise, in your area. Mo, really appreciate the extended time this evening. Continued success.
Right on, brother. Thank you, man.
You got it. There he is, Mo Kason. Damien is a bitch in the best way possible. So, unlike all of the other animations that we've done currently, this one was a little contrived. Obviously, the audio was 100% real. That interview actually took place. Go back to February 2021 and go ahead and listen to it all. Obviously, when I asked Mo the questions, he had subsequent answers
However, because it's comedy and I know what I'm doing, I said, wouldn't it be great where we take the audio of me asking the questions and then instead of answering the way he did, we just go ahead and toss in the ice chomps as his answers. Increasingly bigger ice shooting over. I gave the concept to Damien, and he just took off with it. And once again, hits the marks, the minutia, like when you stop and hit pause on that to go look in the background. Like there was a whole big Mo Cason bio as I'm sitting in the park reading the Barbecue Central newspaper or whatever he called it. I mean, there's so much attention to detail and minutia in the best ways possible. For as young as he is, this guy is going to be a megastar. And again, I'm happy to get the time with him that I am now before he blows up like crazy. But that's the latest animation installment. The big Mo Cason Ice Chomp. It's a winner. That kid's magic. He's gold. In the biz, we call him radio gold. Here's the best news. Coming up next, Mr. Jonathan and Johnny Maggs. We're going to be talking about the burger battle. Before we do that, we talked to you about the first hour's last segment guest, John Furman and Bub and Mothers. What's the first thing you think of when you think of the great state of Maine? I can tell you for me, it's definitely not great barbecue until I gave Bub and Mothers a try. How could a rub that's so flavorful and versatile come from a state that's known for lobster and winter? Here's a little bit about them. Bub and Mothers is a veteran-owned gourmet spice blending company that's the only barbecue company using real Maine ingredients from real Maine companies. The rub are 100% natural, lower in salt than just about anything else on the market. While it is handcrafted and blended to be used on anything that used to have fur fins and feathers, fans of the rub are actually using it on everything from avocado toast to fried zucchini. There's even a restaurant using it to make cocktails. You can see all the recipes at their website, bubandmothers.com. Both flavors have won honors from the International Flavor Awards 2 years in a row. The rubs were used as a guest judge gift on Beat Bobby Flay, and the competition cook teams have gotten multiple calls using Bub and Mothers flavors. The Down East Dinner Dust and the Honey and Heat can be used interchangeably. Once you've tasted them, your imagination will come up with many other ways to use them as well. And if you come up with a unique recipe, contact them through their website, bubandmothers.com. They'll post pictures and credit you with the recipe as well. You can smoke with it, grill with it, fry with it. And in the dead of the Maine winter, you can even get fantastic barbecue flavor in your oven or broiler if you don't want to go outside. You can blend it with things to make their soon-to-be-famous redneck aioli, homemade sauce, and other side dish items. Try Honey and Heat on an omelet. Change your life. Take it from me. Head on over to bubandmothers.com. That's B-U-B, the letter N, M-U-T-H-A-S, bubandmothers.com, and order the gourmet dry rub with Maine attitude. And note the portion of every purchase, as we found out from John earlier, goes to a veteran charity. Tell them Greg and the Barbecue Central Show sent you. We're back to recap the burger battle from New Hampshire. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the number 2 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories to complete your Pit Barrel cooking experience. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner or a professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Over the life of the show, we've talked a lot about competition, but rarely has it been outside the competition barbecue realm. Tonight, we will change that as I welcome in 2 guests to talk about their most recent burger battle that took place earlier this month at 2 Guys Smoke Shop in New Hampshire. The first guy is well known to be the official cigar expert of the Barbecue Central Show. The other guy has appeared on the show as a contestant and is also the host of the Pit Life BBQ Podcast, making his debut here this evening.
let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back in Mr. Jonathan and Johnny Maggs to the show. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining me here this evening. Mr. J, of course, is to the right of me if you're watching, and then we all know Johnny Maggs directly below me. And that's my logo because I don't have 4 people here totaling. So we'll fill the box up because that's what's nice. All right, so Mr. J, if you don't mind starting us off here, give us a little background and subsequent setup for this particular Burger Bash event at Two Guys.
So this was set up as an event where we were hiring, or Camacho Cigars was hiring this pit champion guy that makes burgers. He specializes in going around and making burgers for everybody. And he backed out at the last minute. I had COVID, and I get an email from one of the bosses at Two Guys and says, all right, this is the event. Everybody start working and sell tickets. And I look on the flyer, and there's my picture. I'm competing against Johnny Maggs. So it came out of necessity. I can cook. I can hang in the kitchen. And Johnny's a good friend of mine. So, in fact, to Johnny's credit, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to barbecuing. And he once helped me set up a smoker that I had to kind of resurrect from the ashes, if you will. And I was trying to make smoked burn ends. And I'm like, Johnny, I've never used a smoker before. And he just patiently walked me through it. So he's a wealth of knowledge. It was great to compete against him.
So this is an event where you are told you're going to be doing this. No choice. It's just you're down no matter what.
I'm always down.
Yeah.
I'm always down.
Johnny Maggs, were you given an opportunity to not do this, or much like Jonathan, you were just told you're going to be doing it?
Well, first, if Jonathan did any homework whatsoever,
we're going to start like this already.
Wow. The person who backed out at the last minute was known as the Burger Beast, who is very well known on Instagram and social medias, and Camacho has been bringing him around the country to. I'm a little jealous right now, Mr. J. I'm not gonna lie to you. To compete, I don't know if it's an actual competition at their other stores, or if he just comes for the event and makes burgers. Our friend who owns a shop, Dave Garofalo, he likes to make everything a competition. So
why does this guy back out?
Do
you have a runny nose or something? Like, why doesn't he show up?
I think something just happened in his schedule, and honestly, it's probably not him. The company that was putting the event on is kind of notorious for doing shit at the last minute.
All right, John. So you're down with doing this burger contest as well, it sounds like. So what's your competition? I don't mean barbecue competition, but just in general, do you have a storied background in competitions?
I've done a few backyards in the area over the years, but nothing of great significance, KCBS wise or otherwise, SCA, anything. Just regular backyard stuff.
Is this something that's nerve-wracking for you?
No, being a mailman full time, I work 6 days a week, so I'm there on a Saturday. So it's tough to get the time off in order to go do a competition.
Now, Mr. Jonathan,
he certainly has. He's no stranger to eating the barbecue, though, as you can clearly see. He's not a small man.
Mr. J, you've taken part in a number of competitions put on by the Cigar Authority and/or Two Guys. What contests were those, and how have you fared in those events?
Meatball competition is probably the most popular one, and that started as an event because my birthday falls in January, and I was having a soft January. About halfway through, I just said to Dave, we need to put together an event. I need sales. So we put together this meatball competition, and just to generate some sales at the end, we had 50 people there. We got 5 people to make meatballs, including myself, and I came in dead last. And then the next year I came in dead last. And then the next year I tied for 4th.
Out of?
And then this year I tied for 3rd out of 5.
Okay.
And in Johnny's case, with the burger competition, by the way, I came in second place. I mean, it's not bad.
Well, it was you and Johnny.
Yeah. There were two people competing.
All right, so Johnny, let's start with you. Now that we have a little bit of the lay of the land here, it's going to be a burger contest. Are you also having to make a number of burgers? So let me back out a little bit. How I'm seeing this in my head, I'm going to be competing. I got to make a burger, so I got to figure that out. And then are you also subsequently responsible for making an additional 40 or 50 burgers for whoever might be showing up too?
Yeah, I was asked when Dave had asked me to do the competition. I needed to make 50 burgers because there was 50 tickets being sold.
Wow!
And then obviously the people from Camacho, the folks that are still working at the smoke shop. So going into it, it was right around 60, 65 burgers, at least in my mind at the time. So everybody would get a burger.
And you're the one that has to cook all those burgers?
Yes, sir.
Holy moly. That's quite a task.
Oh, he was a beast on it too. Beast.
But I mean, same thing for you, right, Jonathan? You're going to have to make 65 portions potentially.
Yeah. So Greg, here's the thing. To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins the competition. It matters that people came in and they bought the tickets and they had fun and they buy cigars at the end. That's the real event, is the cigar buying. So not that I didn't take it seriously. I took it very seriously, but I used the White Castle method for cooking. I just laid some julienned onions and some celery and carrot and froze some meat trays and put that on top and popped it in the oven. So I had 2 full trays in there. I was able to do 30 burgers a tray. I had 60 burgers to present, and got some slider rolls and just dished them all out once the meat hit temp, and I was ready to go.
Because it was easy to do like that, or because you're a fan of White Castle burgers?
I'm also managing a cigar store at the exact same time. Johnny
they don't give you a day off to do the competition properly. He's making you work and also do a competition?
Yes. Yeah.
That seems patently unfair.
No, what's unfair is when somebody uses steroids on their burger, but we'll get to that in a little bit. There's a little controversy on this particular.
Look, I'm not trying to say I feel for you here, Jonathan, but if Johnny was at a barbecue competition, I don't think he would also be delivering mail to people and then be expected to continue to be at a barbecue competition at the same time. You're working your job. It should be Mr. Jonathan, general manager of this store, or it should be Mr. Jonathan, competitor for the barbecue series. It can't be both.
Well, in this case, it had to be both, and in this case, the best man won.
So you're a fan of White Castle burgers. We'll stick with you here just for one more second here, Mr. J. Are you really
I'm
trying
not a fan
to hold
of White Castle burgers?
No.
I think they're terrible.
Style?
But that style of being able to layer in flavors that are cooking underneath, and as that fat renders, it starts to pull some caramelization out of the onions and blend in with the other ingredients, in addition to seasoning the meat well and having every bite be a little bit of an adventure. That is what I'm a fan of, and you can stack that in the oven. So what I'm a fan of is when I have to cook for 30 people and it's just kind of, we're having a party and there's 30 people coming to the house. Yeah, I can bang out 30 burgers and I can have it prepped the day before and not have to think about it. So that part I love, but I also love putting the crust on the meat and being able to smash them like Johnny did. So if I had the extra time, I would have gone that direction. I didn't have that kind of time that day.
Did you think of the potential judges as you were conceptualizing this burger?
I did, and I honestly thought I was going to fare better than I did, because in the meatball competition, whoever makes the closest to a gas station meatball wins every single year, except for last year, Oliver won by stuffing his meatball with prosciutto and mozzarella, and I had done that in years past and came in last place. I don't know how he pulled that off, but everybody else that's won, it's been the shittiest meatball up there. I'm eating it going, all right, compared to everything else, it's dog food, and the guy comes in first place. So either I have a very good palate or I have a terrible palate when it comes to cooking.
Up for debate. Johnny Maggs, we go over to you. Your thought process as you are conceptualizing the burger that ends up winning.
Steroids.
Take steroids. I was just using product that, like you had just said, melds and accentuates the flavors of the burger.
All right.
So call it steroids or not, I'm not the one with the soft month. You might want to get a prescription for that one. But anyway, so you might look into steroids. I went with using the competition talk and knowledge and information from guests and friends and people on the circuit. You're always going for that one bite wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to do something packed with flavor. Being a cigar event, a lot of cigar smokers are used to a finer experience, especially culinary-wise. A lot of steakhouses, things like that. So I'm not even going to step forward and trying to make some White Castle crap thing and insult these people. So I was going to go a full gourmet style burger, not fully gourmet, but I went with a smash burger because also with the smash burger, I'm also playing into the elder statesman in the room for the said event to bring back that little nostalgia of their dates with the missus back in the old diners.
But of course, smash burgers are raging in popularity right now, have been for the last couple of years too. So even if you have a younger cigar smoker that's attending the event, you're getting the older person. You're also getting the millennial that thinks it's hot shit to do a smash burger.
Yep. So I was going straight for emotion. Hit them in the heart.
So how does your burger?
You also
go ahead, John.
Killed it with the presentation. The pretzel bun was so over the top good. When I saw it, I'm like, shit, just phenomenal.
Because you eat with your eyes first, right, Jonathan?
Yes, you do.
Yes. All right. So, Johnny, is the pretzel bun like first on the list? Are you building around the pretzel bun, or was that a inspiration shot where you're in the bakery and it's like the lights come on, there's a golden halo over pretzel buns, and you're like, that's the one I got to eat?
Well, I originally was going with the smash burger, but what is better than a smash burger?
Double smash burger.
Double smash burgers. Fact. Correct, Greg. Thank you.
It's fat, by the way. Fat.
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 Fat. Fat. Like Jonathan. Fat. Fat. So a double smash burger, and what am I going to go? Just throw some American cheese on there, some Swiss cheese, some cheddar cheese? No. I'm going a smoked queso cheese sauce.
Oh.
What would go great with the cheese sauce, but a soft pretzel?
Right.
So there
Appetizer
was the pretzel
almost.
bun.
Right.
Yes. So I was in search of pretzel buns. So the pretzel bun was actually the last of the ingredients. And I found my pretzel buns. I went out, did my due diligence, and went shopping early. Made sure I got all the meats I wanted to use, my queso ingredients, and my buns well before the day of.
Can we talk about the meat that you used? Because I just used regular 80-20 beef.
Which is certainly acceptable. I mean, that's what I would use if I was making burgers at home.
But I went, Johnny? Oh, I use some really fancy ground beef.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Oh,
I guess you could categorize it as a Wagyu style ground beef.
A
from
Wagyu
local
style?
establishment.
Was it Wagyu or not? I mean, it's not Wagyu style.
It says
It was
Wagyu, on the
Wagyu
package.
ground beef.
Holy moly. Did Dave pay for the beef?
Yes.
Camacho did.
Oh, okay, good. Thank God. I was like, I can't believe you just
And-
bought Wagyu and you ground it. Yeah.
No, I had the
So you were
prime
given a
brisket.
You were given a
ground.
stipend by Camacho?
Yes.
Like you get X amount to spend on your burgers?
Yes.
All right, good.
So I grabbed the Wagyu ground beef, and I also grabbed a prime brisket and had my local butcher shop grind that twice, so I get a great mix of the fat.
Yep.
And I combined the two.
All right, I got a question, and I'm going to tell you. My budget was a couple $100. That's what Dave told me to spend. What was your budget?
My budget was a couple $100. My
Was it?
entire cook. Yeah.
All right. I never even thought to grind a brisket. That's brilliant. Double grind a brisket. Brilliant.
Double. You got to.
Now let's talk about the
that
steroid use
fat mix.
because you had such amazing meat already. The flavors with just salt and pepper, that burger would have shined with the double crust. You had great thin smash burgers. The crust was so great. And then you were like, you know what would make this way better? If I add MSG and citric acid to it. And that's the bullshit right there.
No, that's not bullshit. That's what makes your flavor buds pop. That's why Chinese food tastes so good. That's why competition barbecue tastes so good, because there's MSG
You
in
did
it.
say earlier of layering flavors with your onions and your peppers and your
those are
steamed
flavors.
beef.
Steamed
flavors.
beef.
That's all I was doing. I was layering flavors with my Lucky Shake and my smoke bomb.
So I'm layering flavors, and I would like everyone to notice that there is no ice in my brown water, so I'll be not showing up in a cartoon later.
In the end, what's the final tally?
15-6.
A lot to a little.
In favor of Johnny Maggs.
I'm sorry. What was it again?
15-6.
15-6. All right. So we would call that a convincing win, but 6 votes, pretty good nonetheless, as you said. Mr. J taking second place.
The 6 people that voted for me all felt compelled like that. I think they voted out of just shame. That they felt compelled to come up and tell me that they voted for mine because they could eat 30 of them. And they didn't want to vote for Johnny's because 1 was enough. And I'm like, you're actually making the case for Johnny Maggs.
Yeah.
It's a burger competition. At the end of 1, it should be enough. And his was a great burger.
John, you win the burger battle. In your competition experience, though limited as we found out, is this the top win so far?
No, actually.
No.
My best wings on the seacoast is my best win from couple years, a year before COVID, so that would have been 19, I believe. Best wings on the seacoast through what's the name of the brewery? They threw a little barbecue competition every year for a couple years, supporting the local fire
Was
department.
it 603? 603?
No, it was up in Northampton. Smutty Nose Brewery.
Of course.
Yeah.
Smutty Nose. Everybody knows Smutty Nose. All right. So cash prize to the winner, Johnny, or no?
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Cash
How much
prize,
you win? How much you win?
Nice little trophy. Yeah, that would have been the best one.
What's the haul? How much you win?
$100.
Hey, all right. And you didn't have to pay for any of that stuff either, so you don't have to worry about trying to break even like you have to do in competition barbecue. So
that's right.
Johnny Maggs wins the burger battle. Maybe there'll be another one next year, so we can follow that one, or maybe that Camacho guy
Maybe.
showed. I mean, who the hell knows? I would
he should
say,
man up.
thank God this guy shined, because what great content we were able to produce here on the Barbecue Central show on August 30th here in 2022 with the host of Pit Life BBQ Podcast, Johnny Maggs, and of course my personal cigar expert and the official cigar expert of the Barbecue Central show, Mr. J. Johnny, I'm going to let you go. Jonathan, can you hang over for a few minutes and talk some cigars? All right. Guys, appreciate the time. Johnny, congratulations and continued success with the podcast.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
You got it.
And if I can just say one more thing.
All right.
Jonathan and I have been great friends for the past 15 years. So the whole competition over the burgers was just great. It was just a great
I helped
time.
him set the grill up. It was awesome.
He did. He helped me set the Blackstone up in the back.
Nice.
Pulled it out of the truck. But it was just a great time. I can't wait to do it again, just to see what we each can come up with.
Well, that's what Live Fire is all about, helping each other. Great community. So congratulations to Johnny once again for winning the Burger Bash over there at Two Guys. The website, the number 2, guyscigars.com. If you're down for buying smokes, why not? Before we jump back and talk some cigars with Mr. Jonathan, I'll talk to you quickly about David Leans and the Do Wellness program, the program that I'm actually doing as we're starting week 9. davidleans.com/BBQ to sign up right now. That's davidleans.com/BBQ to sign up right now. Join me. I'm only 9 weeks ahead of you. Maybe you've heard that having a dad bod was cool. Well, take it from a stud like me. It's not. There's nothing sexy about wearing your gluttony everywhere you go, not to mention being overweight increases the risk for all causes of mortality, including strokes, most cancers, coronary artery disease, sleep apnea, hypertension, osteoarthritis, and mental illness. Making the decision to change decades-old food habits can mean the difference between you attaining your health goals versus dealing with the unknown health challenges that you and your family will have to face down the road. Forget that. Luckily, we all have a pal who I've been using to coach me, backyard barbecue enthusiast, and men's health and wellness coach David McDowell. You can eat barbecue all year around and still lose the fat. With David, you've got assistance around the clock. He's just a text message, an iMessage, or a WhatsApp message, or an email away. He's also available to FaceTime, Zoom, WhatsApp video chat whenever you need help, even on short notice. Now, where some coaches are charging up to $500 a month for a canned diet plan and 1 to 2 check-ins a month, forget that. Partnering with David allows you to have access to a resource who's effectively available 24/7. And it's not $500 or $600 or $700 a month. No. $200 a month. I'm investing in me. You invest in you. You don't have to be some kind of crazy maniac eating until your life ends. You want to make the change? David can help you make the change. Do it with me. davidleans.com/BBQ. And we are back with Mr. J right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield.com for recipes as well as tips and tricks from well-known live-fire cooks like Darren Worth, Jess Pryles, and Childs Cridlin. Mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield Fresh Pork is quite simply some of the finest pork money can buy. It's a trusted choice of top cooks for use in competitions and at home. Once again, that's Smithfield.com. And we are joined once again by the Barbecue Central Show's official cigar expert, Mr. Jonathan from the Cigar Authority Podcast and over at Two Guys Smoke Shop. So, great recap of the big burger event. And now that Johnny's off, Mr. J, you let him win, right? I mean, there's no reason to rub it in his face to him directly.
No, there was no letting him win. I was a little shocked when I took a bite because I live 90% of my life in a ketogenic state. So I didn't want the pretzel bun or the cheese sauce or whatever the hell else was going on. I just wanted the burger. I took a burger. I took one bite and I said, "Are you using MSG and citric acid in this?" And he said, Actually, I don't know. I never read the ingredients of the rubs. I used these 2 rubs, and he put them down on the table, and I read the ingredients.
Yeah.
And of course, it has it. And listen, people love that flavor. It's just not something that I would normally consume. And you look great, by the way. I just heard the last commercial. You're 9 weeks in.
Yeah.
What's the eating like on this eating plan?
Well, the good and the bad news, I guess, is in my real life, while I purport to be this pit master and live fire artist and all this stuff, which I am. I can cook barbecue like crazy. I can grill like crazy. But in the end, I'm a simple man. So I can literally eat the same thing every day if I had to for the rest of my life. So as I'm putting my plan together with David, he's like, how intricate do you want to get with the meals, this and that? And I was like, the easier, the better. And I like chicken and I like turkey. I like meat. So have at it. And it's, every morning I'm doing half a cup of oatmeal, put some peanut butter in there. I have a protein shake if I'm doing a lift that day. Lunch, 7 ounces of turkey or chicken or steak, 120 grams of rice. And then dinner, roughly the same thing as lunch, except a little bit more rice, any amount of salad that I want with just a little bit of light dressing. And it doesn't sound great for somebody who's always struggled to do a diet or be on an eating plan. It's probably not inspiring anybody to go, well, that's what I want to do. But David also will meet you where you are and work with your diet and what you like, what you don't like. He asked me if I drank, if I smoked, blah, blah, blah. So he's very intricate with his questions and really learns about you. But that's what I'm doing, and it's worked for me. I'm not looking to lose a tremendous amount of weight. Wanted to rock up and shred out a little bit, and it's working pretty well 9 weeks in.
What Dr. Grundy, who's a dietitian out there on YouTube, his famous line is, when it comes to dieting, it's not what you eat, it's what you're not eating that's important. So I noticed you didn't say potato chips.
No.
You weren't talking about
no pop,
pork rinds.
No, nothing like that.
Soda, sugary drinks. So being able to eliminate that stuff is going to be such a key. And if you can find a group of foods that you can latch onto that you like enough to be able to get rid of the other shit, that's really the key.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Jonathan joining us here on the show, the co-host of the Cigar Authority Podcast. Don't say that too fast. You sound like I just did there for a second. What's smoking well in the shop these days, Mr. J?
I got to tell you, there's the folks at Aladino I don't know what they're doing to their tobacco, but there is
MSG,
zero ammonia present, zero. You smoke that cigar well past the band, and it is just phenomenal all the way through. And it doesn't matter what blend. You like them mild, you like them strong. They got a little something for everybody, but all the way through, they're smoking great. The folks at Selected Tobacco with their Bandolero, all 12 shapes and 3 different blends, all killing it. Perdomo's killing it. Padron is killing it. There's just there's a few brands that we can't even talk about who makes them, but La Giana, made by a big name brand that rhymes with Davidoff. You got United Cigar that's smoking great. All the Garofalo lines that are made by a brand that rhymes with Perdomo. That entire portfolio there is just, it's crushing it. And the thing about knowing what's smoking great, I may smoke something and say, all right, this is great for my palate. It all boils down to the 2 types of cigars that exist in the world, the ones that sell and the ones that don't. And those are all turning and burning, literally.
In the barbecue world, for the last 2 years, it's been boom central. Short of owning a barbecue restaurant, which even if you could pivot a little bit into, if you were to sit down, if you could move into that fast casual or use an app or get stuff to the curb, you probably made it to some degree. A lot of them faded away if they didn't want to embrace technology here. But otherwise, if you were selling an accessory, a rub, a grill, you were selling out, it was hard to get. The boom was crazy. Record sales, the likes we have never seen in the industry for 2+ years. And then at the end of last year, I started hearing inventories building.
distributors and folks that are buying stuff from overseas are saying, hey, don't send that container over here because the big box stores that they're pulling through have inventory still. They haven't sold through. They're not looking to restock. Well, guess what? Now we've had a bust. You've seen Traeger stock go down. You've seen Weber stock go down. You've seen them replace their CEO, and the likes have been going on through the live fire industry over the last couple months. Same for the cigar industry, or no?
This is all good news for you, by the way, because when there's a glut of inventory, they're going to be looking for places to throw their money at to advertise. So congratulations. You're about to have a boom. In the cigar industry, the honest truth is we went through the same kind of boom over the 2 years of the COVID shutdowns. There was so little to do but smoke and drink that's what people did. And they had the extra income to do it because they weren't going to the movies. They weren't going out to eat. You know, they were just at home in their little man caves or whatever they built up at the beginning of COVID. That's where they were, and smoking and keeping in their small little group pods. So that portion of the cigar industry, that boom is over. So now, although the bigger manufacturers that kept me supplied through the pandemic, they've now gone through their reserves. So I'm starting to see a little bit of a slowdown with orders coming from Padron and Perdomo. And the rest of the cigar industry is putting out products so fast that you get halfway through the cigar and it tastes like ammonia.
Not to ask a dumb question here, but what does ammonia taste like? Is it sour? Is it hot? Is it spicy?
Have you ever sprayed Windex on a window and had a little spray into your mouth? Because that's exactly what that shit tastes like.
All right, well, that's not
so
good.
Ammonia and nitrates are both products of growing in the tobacco plant. So ammonia is a byproduct of photosynthesis, and nitrates come from the soil from the fertilization. And when you sweat tobacco, you put it in a compost pile and you ferment it, and the heat comes up, and at about 106, they flip the piles, and they do that for a year to 3 years, depending on how thick the tobacco is. And the longer they flip, the more times they flip it, the more times they get to that 106, the more ammonia and nitrates get released naturally. And they're also trying to, believe it or not, break down the nicotine so that you, the smoker, can smoke more cigars without getting sick. This is all part of it. The nicotine degrades over time. So when you finally get to a cigar, if the tobacco's been aged properly and it's gone through closer to the 3 years than the 1 year, you have a very smooth, you have a very palate-friendly smoke. When it's closer to the 1 year, it's smooth for the first half, and then it becomes less palate-friendly. You start to feel the smoke on the roof of your mouth. You start to get a sting on the back of your throat, and that is the presence of ammonia and nitrates. And also, you start to get a little buzz, and that's the presence of nicotine because it hasn't degraded over time.
So if you bought a box of cigars and the first one or two, that's a recurring situation. Fucking cat. That's a recurring situation. Is that a time where you would say, okay, if you have a humidor or somewhere, you would put that away for 6 months or 2 years, or what's the thought there?
If you had a box and you smoked 2 cigars and halfway through you got ammonia, I would take that box and leave it outside of humidification for 2 full months. Let those cigars dry out completely, and then put them in your humidor with the box closed, and they'll rehydrate very slowly, and then they'll be smokable. And if you did that another time, maybe 2-3 more times, and took that out for a year, you would have done this dry box cycle that happens with Atabey, Byron, and Bandolero. He does that with the actual cigars themselves and takes cigars that are good and makes them exceptional. And I've done it. I've done experiments myself. In fact, this cigar is 2 years old, Aladino Corojo Reserve in the Figurado. And I dry box cycled that for a full year. And I've been just slowly smoking out of this box for the last year. And it's awesome.
Let me ask you some newbie, beginner, not a lot of knowledge, although listening to the show has really increased my learning curve and knowledge about. I feel like I'm a dangerous expert to a certain degree because of how much I've learned from the show, which I certainly appreciate. I'd say a small handful of times over the last number of months, I'll be smoking a cigar, not specific to any manufacturer, not specific to any ring gauge or, length or anything like this, but the cigar seems to be, and I go through the whole lighting ritual and getting the wrapper seared in and make sure the inside, everything's, nice and glowy, blow on it, the whole thing that I've watched on, so I've learned from you. And then, my puff rate's pretty good every minute or so, the standard puff rate. I'm a 2-puff guy, so a quick one and then do the draw, smokes out, just like you're doing right there.
Same.
Inevitably, the cigar seems to want to go out on me. Is that part and parcel, or is there something that I'm doing wrong?
Where do you live?
Cleveland.
Palm City,
right.
USA.
So you and I are basically on the same latitude, right?
Yeah.
We're the same. So that's what's going on. In the summertime, when the humidity outside is 90% and you light that cigar, the wrapper behind where you lit is starting to absorb moisture.
That quick.
And so, the wrapper is the first thing.
Wow.
And the wrapper is very instrumental in combustion because typically it'll be fermented for a long time. So they intentionally will thin that wrapper out. And then so if it was a Maduro cigar, the wrapper might be a little thicker, but they're going to put a thin binder underneath it to balance it out. So those two leaves together, they're leaves and they're porous, they start sucking moisture. So what I will typically do in the summertime is I turn my humidifier completely off and I try to get my box on the drier days at the end of spring. I try to get my humidor down into the mid to low, even 50s, and keep that shit closed so that when I go in there, it's in the cooler part of the day. I'm not looking to jack the heat up and I'm not looking to jack the humidity up so that I can get the cigars I'm going to smoke today or tomorrow, and I'll put them in a sealed bag so that I'm not exposing them to the elements as best I can. It's not an exact science, but typically if cigars are going out, it's the environment and not the smoker per se.
Jonathan, one last question before I let you go, and appreciate the time as always. The Premium Cigar Association or whatever, the big trade show for cigars took place a month or two ago, which means new cigars are going to be hitting the market. A lot of them we've been hearing about on your show as far as that are coming in and in stock available for sale at Two Guys. In your opinion, what are some of the best ones for those intermediate to expert cigar smokers that might be looking for something new to try?
La Llorona by Aventura it's killing it. It's such a good cigar. $16, $17. The price tag kind of makes people pause a little bit, but yeah, you light one up, they're great. And then West Tampa Tobacco Company has come out with some good stuff. The folks at Rojas with their street taco carnitas. I'm not even a fan of Connecticut Shade, and that Connecticut Shade is really good.
Is he going to be a star, that guy?
I think so.
I have yet to have. I've had Blue Bonnet in a couple different formats. I've had Barbacoa. I've had Carnita, and I've had Statement. And every one has been a knockdown, stone cold, lead pipe lock winner for me.
Yeah, he does.
And
he just
smoke
doesn't
machines.
make bad cigars.
Like those things are smoke machines.
That's for sure. We found out about him. He had made Barry Stein's Kilo years ago. That's when I met him the first time, and he's just been plugging along. And he loves those smaller ring gauges. So if you want something with flavor and something with body, and you don't mind something a little on the smaller side compared to where cigars are going, he doesn't make anything bigger than a 50 ring gauge. And a ring gauge is 1/64th of an inch, to put that into perspective. So a 1-inch cigar would be 64 ring gauge, 1 inch across. He just doesn't make big cigars. So you've got to be able to deal with the small cigars, which I like, because then I can have many different small cigars throughout the day, and I don't feel like I've been smoked out.
Mr. Jonathan, tell everybody where they can listen to you live and or in podcast.
We're on the Cigar Authority. That's the THE, cigarauthority.com. You can catch us on Podbean or any place where there's any podcast catcher, iHeartRadio, you name it. YouTube, we're on Rumble, Facebook Live, because I get kicked off Facebook doesn't mean everybody else is. So you can listen on Facebook if you want. But yeah, any place you can catch a podcast, get a podcast catcher, the show's on.
Number 2 in the Burger Bash, but number 1 in our hearts and the official cigar expert of the Barbecue Central show, Mr. Jonathan. Always appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
There he is, Mr. J. Cigar Authority Podcast, which can be found on all the podcast platforms, of course. So if you're just getting into, this is what I would say, if you're just getting into cigars, you don't know anything about it, you're a dummy like I was a year ago, literally to the day. Listening to this show, going back even 2 years into the archives, and it's been going on almost as long as my show has been going on. I believe they're starting their 13th year of live shows, and I'm into my technical 14th year of live show broadcasting, but I did it 2 years as a podcast before that. It's not a contest, but I win. This show has single-handedly helped ramp up my learning curve on how to pick out flavors and brands to try and deals to be had and interviews with the industry insiders and the manufacturers. It's like the Barbecue Central show, except it has to do with cigars. So if you're a fan or a new fan or you want to be a fan, this is a show I'm telling you to subscribe to immediately, if not sooner, and you will thank me for it. Mr. J is one of the many co-hosts / hosts of that show, and that's also a live show on Saturdays from noon to 2 Eastern. So I highly recommend it if you are getting into the lifestyle, and we thank Mr. Jonathan for joining us for an extra segment to talk a little cigars. Before we wrap it up here this evening, I will talk to you about Vortic Watch Company. By the way, guess who just got his new custom Vortic watch? Me. 2 years in the making, and we finally got it. I'll take some better pictures of it. We can talk about it later. Back in the day, watches were made to be worn in the pocket. After World War II, the wristwatch came into vogue, and the pocket watch quickly became an afterthought, finding its way into sock drawers and scrap heaps, and that's a national tragedy. However, enter Vortic Watch Company, helping bridge the gap between America's storied watch manufacturing past and bridging it to the present day, where wristwatches are finding incredible popularity again. Here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind. No one has a watch that's just like somebody else's. All unique. Vortic founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out VorticWatches.com for more information. That's VorticWatches.com, and we'll be back to wrap the show up right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rempe.
All right, welcome back, and we thank Mr. Jonathan for joining us last segment. His website's again, cigarauthority.com, and if you're looking to buy stuff online because you don't live next to a brick-and-mortar retailer that carries the stuff that you like and you're going to go online to buy it, the number 2, guyscigars.com is that website. I am a semi-frequent customer there, so it is trusted and tried by yours truly. All right, let's go ahead and make tracks out of here all the way back in the first hour. It was Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. We talked about turkey. We talked about his turkey tour that he went on in Illinois, no less, which sounded fabulous. He's going to be at the American Royal this year, so look him up. 280 teams are going to be taking place in a turkey contest at the American Royal? Holy moly. Sign up if there's still time. Push it to 300. That would be spectacular. For turkey. Who doesn't love turkey? Are we all committing that we're going to eat turkey more in between now and Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, and the next Thanksgiving? I'm really going to try to do it this time. This time I really... After Ray Lampe, it was John Furman from BubbaandMothers.com. Bubba and Mothers spice and barbecue rubs. Learned about his story, giving back to veterans and the local charities there, but looking to do it on more of a national scale. But this is where we're starting now. So try those rubs out right now, bubandmothers.com. And in the second hour, Johnny Maggs from Pit Life BBQ made his debut. Just stop. Give me a second to finish what I'm doing. Johnny Maggs made his debut. Also, Mr. Jonathan from the Cigar Authority Podcast was also in that mix, and we recapped their big burger bash that they had at Two Guys earlier in the month. Mr. Jonathan trying his hand at a kind of like White Castle burger. Johnny Maggs going all in on the double smash burger with queso cheese sauce and pretzel bun, which ended up winning the day, and $100 in cash in his pocket to boot, which he should have walked right into the humidor at Two Guys and spent that $100. Why not give it back? And then Mr. J hanging out for an additional segment talking about the latest and greatest in the cigar world right now. Big show planned for you next week, of course. Sam the Cooking Guy is in. Malcolm Reed is in. We'll catch up with him to see what's going on with that Memphis in May and the $7,800 non-refundable deposit situation. Other interviews are being lined up as well. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.